Zimbabwe prophecy, what has happened is now the fulfillment of what I said some time back.
A blaze engulfed the Sapes Trust building in Harare early this morning, and this just hours before it was set to host a press conference by Zimbabwe's opposition leaders. The event, which was scheduled for 11 a.m., was expected to bring together parties united in their resistance to President Emmerson Mnangagwa's bid for a third term. Now, Ibo Mandaza, a prominent critic of Mnangagwa, raised alarm on social media in the early hours of this morning, claiming that the venue was under attack. And the timing of the fire, which is a mere hours before Mnangagwa's State of the Nation address, where he is set to outline his legislative agenda. So to give us more detail and context is SABC News specialist correspondent Sophie Mukwena. Sophie, good morning. So the pictures that we're seeing, the visuals coming through, are quite concerning, but of course also the context in which this is taking place.
Yes, I just spoke to Professor Ibo Mandaza, who has confirmed the story that the offices of SAPE, an NGO that was going to host this press conferences, was set alight. This is Professor Ibo Mandaza's premises. He's got a restaurant and offices also there, and they were set alight last night or early hours of this morning by unknown men. But apparently he was able to overpower the security and type the security and set the premises alight. So the problem is that this area today, it was expected that media will converge there because there was going to be a media briefing by different stakeholders in Zimbabwe who were going to talk about a decision by ZANU-PF to approve a motion or a resolution to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term of office. You know, in 2028, Zimbabwe is supposed to go to election, and because the current constitution put the presidential term limit to 2, they want to amend the constitution so that it can continue until 2030. Now, people are arguing, we've spoken to some analysts from Zimbabwe and some political parties. You saw yesterday, we gave ZANU-PF the right to reply by its spokesperson because we had spoken to other people earlier. They are saying it's not possible and it is wrong. They are saying if he wants to extend his term of office, of ZANU-PF wants to do that, it must be done through a referendum. Now, they are scared to go to a referendum because you can't guarantee the victory unless you have your electoral commission again siding with ZANU-PF, and then you can put through that referendum. Now, the problem is ZANU-PF itself is divided. It's Mnangagwa faction and Vice President of Zimbabwe, Constantino Chiwenga's faction in the ZANU-PF. So you can't guarantee this time around. And therefore, this press conference was going to outline program of action to try and stop this and also the problems pertaining to this proposal by ZANU-PF. And the announcement about the press conference and media were informed last week already. So last night, this is what has happened. But I just spoke to Prof. Ibo Mandaza. He says the press conference will continue and they will also be available to speak to international media the whole day today. So Zimbabwe again holding international headlines.
And good to hear that it's going ahead, that press briefing, Sophie. Has there been any word from the government regarding this, given what is taking place and what this particular entity or this briefing was meant to address?
Clearly, the government hasn't spoken, and you can't expect the government to agree or to say something because at this moment, because I mean, when you look at the Zimbabwe government, it's ZANU-PF activists. And this tension that's brewing speaks to the ZANU-PF, but also the government will be affected. And therefore, they will take time to try and figure what will be the response. So we will get the response much later. But our team in Zimbabwe, I'm told, is going there. will get more information, and I'm sure SABC will also want to get reaction from other people, including government, to balance the story, as you did yesterday on Full View, where you invited the spokesperson of ZANU-PF.
So you did touch on it earlier, Sophie, but how is that quest for a third term for President Mnangagwa going?
Well, President Mnangagwa has a dilemma. You would recall when he fled to South Africa in exile because they were fighting with the former President Robert Mugabe. When he went back, told the whole world, not only the people of Zimbabwe, that he is going to govern differently. He is not governing differently. He made a commitment, particularly on one international canon, visiting London at some point in time, that he will not seek a third term. He claimed to be a constitutional person who will protect the constitutionalist. Now he is trying to change the constitution. He had made a guarantee that he will not change the constitution. He will implement the constitution to the latter. Now he is pretending as if he doesn't want this extension. He wants the extension because there's no way the ZANU-PF people would have pushed for this motion or resolution if he didn't want to, because he had all the chance and the privilege, he's the leader of ZANU-PF, to say no, no, no. Madiba, after he was elected as the president of the country, later he announced that he was going to seek one term. His comrades behind the scenes went to him to ask him to continue. He refused. He said, no, I've told the world in South Africa that I want one term. He stick to his promise and his announcement. That's leadership.
And Sophie, the international community, have they reacted at all to this quest for a third term for Mnangagwa?
Not yet, but analysts have commented both in and outside Zimbabwe. And now with this clearly the media coverage is going to escalate in Zimbabwe from international media. The spotlight is going to be on Zim again. That's where you will see some reaction from different organizations out of Zimbabwe, perhaps some government out of Zimbabwe. And Prof. Mandaza often visits Wits University and University of South Africa. He's got many friends within the ANC, the governing party in the country. I am sure behind the scenes, ANC will call him and ask him. They even invite him at times at the O.R. Tambo political school. He's got friends within the governing party. He's got friends, high-ranking former leaders of the ANC. So I'm sure there's no way South Africa will ignore this, because they know this will lead to people leaving Zim. And where will they go? To South Africa.
Well, let's leave it there. Thanks so much. Sophie Mokoena is SABC News specialist correspondent with that latest from Zimbabwe. And of course, we'll wait to see how that story develops.